Welcome Scorpio to your in-depth monthly horoscope for May 2024 for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. I'm going to share with you on the screen now the event chart. This provides an overview of what you can expect as you enter this month. The big takeout is that your two rulers, Mars and Pluto, are collaborating. Mars is in Aries, the other sign it rules other than yours, and Pluto in Aquarius, and in this relationship for the first time in over 200 years. Now Pluto, since the 21st of January, has been seeing you think very deeply about where you live, how you live there and who with, or perhaps about making physical changes to your environment. So that could be like do-it-yourself job, refitting a kitchen, decoration, or maybe it is much more of an emotional transformation. And as you come into this new month, the fact that Pluto and Mars are on such good terms means if there is something that you want to invest a lot of drive and energy in around such a project, the chances are you're going to really go for it and go for it full on. What's not to like? Well, you can see the moon is very close to Pluto. When that occurs, it can create a lot of intensity. This is the part of your chart that's to do with security. If something is challenging your security, and it's possible it could be a relationship early on in the month, that could make you feel a little out of kilter. Because you can see that you've got a lot of influences in house 7, which is where we find balance. It's where we're looking for equilibrium. It's also where we're looking to get the right kind of relationships working in our lives. Now Uranus has been a disruptor there for you pretty well all the time since March the 7th, 2019. Now last month, you recall that Jupiter and Uranus came together in your 7th house. So change around relationships is almost certain to be the case over the next years to come, but that can be in a very dynamic way. But Venus moved late last month, the planet of relating, into a real sweet spot in your chart, retains that position as you go into this new month, but clashes with Pluto. If you're trying, and I'm going to speak frankly, trying to dominate, even if it's not conscious, a romantic relationship, it may fall over. Then again, if someone's not hearing within your family about how you feel, however much you're trying to be diplomatic towards their point of view, that can cause problems. With the moon so close to Pluto, as the moon moves forwards on the first day, it clashes with the sun, creating a quarter moon through the first week of this month. That 4th, 7th house energy may make it more difficult to find that equilibrium emotionally around family or home-based relationships, despite the fact that Mars and Pluto are giving you tremendous amounts of drive. So there's a few things going on there for sure. But Mars moving into your 6th house, the one thing I think it will do over the next 6 weeks is give you a lot more physical vitality. So if you wanted to step up your exercise routine, be a bit more virtuous about what you eat and drink, really go for it in terms of improving your situation as far as a job is concerned. Mars gives you oodles of extra motivation. Now Mercury spent a lot of last month in retrograde from the 1st to the 25th. It's going forwards now, but it's still in its post-retrograde shadow, but it is very close to the North Node at the start of the month, suggesting listen to your instincts around work, but also about the things you eat and drink. It will guide you. Mars is also bolstering you in terms of your ability to keep going. So your endurance, often a great part of your nature, that's strengthened as well. Because over the last year, it is possible that Saturn has at times been making you feel a little bit optimal, below par when it comes to your vitality. But as this month begins, the midpoint between the sun and the moon, so the balance of the chart, the yin and yang, that's actually in Pisces, your sister water sign, and forging a great link with Jupiter and Uranus. So if there is somebody that you're attracted to, and you can get over the politics of Pluto applying to Venus at the start of the month, and the moon to the sun, the chances are that this could be really promising. And that is going to evolve later in the month for you, because I want to tell you then that on the 2nd, your ruler Pluto goes retrograde. And that's going to go on in retrograde through to the 11th of October. But from the 2nd of September, he inverts back into your 3rd house, very much to do with your interactions in your community, locally, neighbours, siblings, everyday communications. When Pluto goes retrograde, it's asking us to think much more deeply about what we can transform in our lives, but also what we may need to let go of. And because at the moment it's in the 4th house, are there certain emotional responses that are a bit hard programmed into you that aren't always useful? That's the existential question that Pluto asks you at the start of this month. But certainly in a practical way, if you wanted to get stuck in and make changes to where you live, you can achieve loads. Now on the 8th, we have a new moon. A new moon which for you is extremely potentially positive. It's in your sector of relationships, but it forges a great link to Saturn. So Saturn has not been a great asset over the last year. Whether it's your creativity, your flair, your artistry, or your social life, it's felt a bit blunted, not really as good as you would like. But this new moon in your sector of relating links very well to Saturn. So if there is someone you're seeing or you're involved with, whatever type of alliance, friendship, a business, a venture, or romantically, if there is a very good rapport between you and you each take your roles very seriously, this particular new moon can bond you together even more. The 13th sees Mercury end that post-retrograde shadow. Any niggles that have played a part since the first, well really, since the last 5 days of March, to be honest, about the 19th of March, in fact, that the pre-retrograde shadow began, those can unravel. But on the 15th, Mercury moves into your opposite sign. Now, I love Mercury in the 7th house because it promotes the idea of listening. Mercury in the 6th house can be a very brittle energy. If there has been times when you felt a bit stressed out, strung out, really not at your best over the previous 9 weeks, it would hardly be a surprise. Mercury going into the 7th house, even if people see things differently, because Pluto does challenge this transition, we can let it go a little bit more. Well, that's your viewpoint. Who am I to disagree? You're entitled to it. Whereas Mercury in the 6th house, we can split hairs over the most minor issues. So it does help us to let go a little bit and embrace equilibrium. Now the Sun moves on the 20th into the part of your situation that's to do with transformations. But that's food and water to you, because your sign is very much about transformations. What those transformations are does depend on your unique situation. But in week 3, one of the most glorious aspects of the whole year starts to manifest itself. It becomes exact on the 23rd, when Venus and Jupiter align in an exact conjunction. That's where they're in unison, they're side by side. These are the 2 planets of fortune, but Venus is at home in Taurus. Taurus is about money, it's about self-worth. It, for you, is very sensual. It is very much to do with relating. Some good luck. If you go on a first date in week 3, but particularly on the 23rd, it could be really, really positive, particularly as you're surfing the energy of the new moon and Mercury in your 7th house. But then on the 23rd, we do have a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. If your financial ins and outs are a little bit out of kilter, that will require some effort. But Venus moves on the same day into your 8th house. And in actual fact, you could have some kind of unexpected dividend or bonus. Jupiter moves into Gemini on the 25th, technically detrimented, but for you, very sensual. A lot of very positive energies towards the end of this month about transformation. Certainly if there is someone that you're very connected to, you could get an awful lot closer. You know, the archetype of your sign is that you're very preoccupied with sex. Now, I'm sure that there are some of you listening to this who might be thinking, oh yes, but that's the archetype. What this set of influences can do is engender within you that understanding, that deep spiritual understanding of transformation. So something can transform in a lucky way for you at the end of this month. Now, it could be you won't even know about it as this month comes to a close, that someone could make a provision for you in terms of a legacy future forwards. Maybe you're going to hear about this at the end of this month. Maybe you're going to have some fortune on an investment, a share dividend. Perhaps it's going to be an insurance payout. Some kind of bonus can come to you at the end of this month. It could be spiritual, could be financial, could be to do with a hot, intimate relationship. Just depends on what's going on for you personally. Now, as we turn through the end of the month, Jupiter applies to Pluto, but Venus applies to Pluto, and the Sun applies to Pluto, all at the end of this month. And remember, Pluto's transforming your emotional responses. Because you're very, very deep, but also very private, yes, you can opine on other people's situations in a very accomplished way. You're not usually so open about talking about your own. So there may be something that evolves towards the end of this month that really hits a sweet spot for you. And that evolution can be in a very, very constructive way. Now, of course, the 8th house can be things we do need to let go of. With Venus and Jupiter in the mix, even if you did bring a relationship to a close, I feel there's an opportunity here to do so in an amicable way. I'm not trivializing it and saying such a separation would be easy, but with these planetary influences involved, it's possible that there could be a level of conviviality that sometimes can be missing. You know, how many times do we hear about people breaking up and they start out being okay about it, and then the legals get involved, and then the letters start getting sent, and then angles start being found, and then the acrimony builds up. And it can take years, and it can really affect people hugely, affect their mental health in a very serious and bad way. So whether you're leaving a business, exiting from an investment, or leaving a romantic relationship, if that was what was to occur, try to do so in as a dignified way as possible. But for sure, it could be completely the opposite. You could be traveling into a deeper devotional situation, which can be extraordinarily enriching. It's been a pleasure being with you, Scorpio. Do you know, we did some research and found that 55% of people who watch my videos are not subscribers. Please help to support my channel. Because I do weekly videos in separate sections, it does drive down my algorithm. I do this work for the Astrology, but if you press that subscription button, it sends a signal. If you then also tap or click on the bell notification symbol, it means every time I drop a video, you'll get an alert so you can watch it again. How good is that? Have a great May and take care for now.